Identifying.
The king of cakes. Chopper for the win.
G'day guys, welcome back to Cakes by Chopper. Today we have Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc. You're going to start off by leveling off your cake, but keep the top piece because you're going to cut a circle out from that later on. Then you're going to split your cake in two because you're going to cut this top piece off, but these two halves need to be the exact same size as the square you're left with, so it creates the third layer. Then you're going to cut out the shape of his body. I thought of it as a guitar pick shape, sort of a rounded triangle. Just remember which pointy end is the top of his head because you're going to have it sort of elongated at one end. Then you're going to trim off the edges so the sides taper down. Once you've done that, you can deconstruct your cake ready to fill with buttercream. Today I've used a strawberry and vanilla buttercream. The recipe is on my channel. Click the annotation above to find out how to make it. Go through, apply this quite liberally because this is a filling and it's going to taste delicious with your cake. Now that circle that I spoke about from the top, I just cut out the round circle, the shape of his eye, so you want to measure it to how big on his body. And it just creates that little dome effect. Later on you'll see. Give it a crumb coat, make sure you're happy with it, pop it in the fridge for a couple of minutes and let it set, ready for your fondant. Now I pre-coloured the fondant in the light green. If you're not going to airbrush this cake, just do it a little bit darker. Lay your fondant on the top, smooth it out and work it down the edges, and just sort of pull out the pleats and rub in a downward motion to get a smooth edge. Trim off all the excess, and if you keep your excess clean enough, you can put on some powdered sugar or icing sugar and use that to smooth, as you've seen in my previous cakes. Roll out some white fondant, cut out a circle, keeping it the same size as the cake circle that you cut out. Put some water on it and then apply it to your cake. Try and keep this as clean as you can. Now you can see here I just rolled a few little snakes, I call them, and then tapered the edges off to become his eyelids. Be sure to center your eyelids properly. Mine was a bit wonky, but it was too late to change it once I'd noticed. Then you're going to do a fatter one for the bottom lip, and then roll out some more white fondant, cut out his teeth. I found it easier to do his bottom lip, then add the teeth, then add the top lip. And you're just going to cut little jags along the inside of this crescent moon, and then separate it and neaten it up a bit. And that's the easiest way I can find to make his teeth, because you get the same zigzag as you do on the bottom as the top, but reversed. Then add some little, I guess, dimple lines, mouth creases, whichever you'd like to call them. And then using some black food gel dye, you just paint in his mouth to give it that deeper effect. Now here I went with a dark green, watered down slightly to make his eye, and I just painted the full circle. Then I added some black, then I dipped it back into the green to give it some lines to make it look like a real eyeball. And then I started with a ball of fondant and then rolled it into like a snake with a head, then used the paintbrush to indent in where his fingers would be, and then just rounded them off with my fingers. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is. Have a few goes at it, and then once you're happy with it, you can try it again. Now I made some little horn shapes and stuck some toothpicks in them and measured them against his body, and then I used some cling film to support them after I'd painted them, because it sits up off the ground. They're not actually on the chopping board. So if you want to make them on the chopping board, it makes no difference, so it's up to you where you place them. Just be sure to put a little bit of moisture on the bottom of the horns so that when it's propped up it sticks against the fondant. I did the same for the legs as I did the hands, just rolled the ball, elongated the end, and then used the paintbrush to get his toes and his feet dimensions right. Then I gave it some shadowing with the airbrush and some spots because I think it just looked a lot better with the texture on it. Once again, you don't have to use the airbrush, it's only if you choose to. I think it looks great, and if you're serious about making your cakes, it's a good investment to get an airbrush. Once you're happy with the overall look, put his arms and his legs on. A quick tip, when you're making Mike, if you want to start off by placing him at the top of your cake board, you won't have to shift him halfway through like I did. And The last thing is you roll a little bit of fondant, put the light reflection in his eye, and you're all done. Thanks for watching my videos, guys. I've really enjoyed making these cakes for you. Here's some of my others. Please check us out, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye, guys.